Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and today guys, we're going to be jumping down into the world of Bitcoin, seeing what's been going on most recently and what we expect to happen next. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tapping the bell, selecting all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. As you can probably tell, I'm a little bit under the weather today, so I try to keep this one nice and brief, but to the point as to what you need to know about Bitcoin. As you can kind of see here, we've been calling for a move to $30,000 for a little while now, and as you can see, we did hit that earlier this morning. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another horizontal line just where we put this video out, right about here, and an arrow, and we'll talk about what's going on with Bitcoin, and we'll add a thumbnail later. And so if we just take a look at smart money concepts, and we're going to take a look at 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗑 theory, I do want to kind of say that we obviously clearly got something wrong here. We were expecting a move down before we pushed up. We were expecting around 27,200 before we actually saw this move upwards. Obviously that didn't play out. We can see that there's going to have to be some kind of explanation for this 5-wave count over this side. So something must have gone wrong over here before we saw this move to the upside. Nonetheless, we can see that we have had this move up. We can articulate this as a pretty impulsive structure to the upside, but it still falls within our typical kind of 335 flat corrective structure. This is something that we were talking about from here. You can kind of see that we're coiling up and looking for this move up towards our area of 29,953 to 30,640. You can see that we're getting rejected from just up there at the moment. So when we take a look at this, we can kind of look at the 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗑 theory structure of it. We can see that we were actually targeting slightly higher originally, and just up here at 30,289 to 30,988. Ultimately, we're right up in that zone where we're likely to find resistance. Okay, so everything there's looking pretty reasonable. If we go into this structure, we can see that we do have what looks to be an impulsive structure coming up here. It's possible that this is a wave 4 and we still have a final 5th wave movement to go. Okay, so looking at it, we have gone down in 3 at the moment. So we could just look at this last little push up into that slightly higher range. It would look something like this. So if we would have a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and then finally 5. And if we have already topped or bottomed out on that wave 4, then we would be looking at between the 1.236 and the 1.618, essentially taking us from 30,570 to about 30,825 approximately. Okay, now we can see and we can articulate that we're pretty heavily overbought now. If I go to the daily chart here, you can see that we're almost overbought on the settings here. So if I come into my settings, you can see this is 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗑4. If I change this to a closed position, which is the default, you can see that it is already up in the overbought area. Okay, but obviously I like to use on my 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗑 theory 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗑4 because it gives you an average position. You can see it's not quite there on the average positions. Okay, so that's an interesting one to kind of take a note of. Now, if we come over to our smart money concepts, this is the one that we're kind of looking at this push upwards, 29,955 to 30,643. You can also see that this is using the closed positions and everything up on these higher time frames is overbought. Okay, I still think there's a need to push up just that fraction more, as I said, with that kind of final 5th wave movement. That basically being right up here into that kind of 1.236 to the 1.618. As I said, and then from there, really, it's an end of structure, so we can start thinking about corrective action. So not only are we overbought, heavily overbought, in fact, on the weekly and getting there on the daily 8-hour, 4-hour, really only have that hourly push to the upside here. Now, it is still possible that we get an overextension and we try to tap into this slightly higher ranges of around $32,000, $33,000. Yeah, it's hard to think that we're going to stay overbought on the weekly that much more than we already are. But no, it's possible. So we'll keep our open minds on what is going on there with BTC. But ultimately right now, yeah, I would say that everything has progressed kind of as we were expecting, with the minor exception of the fact that we didn't get down into that low at 27,200 that we wanted before we had this push upwards. So right now, everything has pushed up, but I think we've got a reasonably busy week with various different interest rates, CPI data, FOMC minutes occurring the rest of this week. So a lot of stuff could be being priced in. earlier this morning, taking us up into those higher ranges. But an expectation is that there's going to be a move to the downside. Now, from our smart money concepts on the lower time frame, you can see that we have stacked up some fair value gaps. These fair value gaps or imbalances in the order books are something that we will be looking at, kind of thinking about consolidating back down towards at some point in the future. Now, as we come up into our daily time frame, you can really see how many of these gaps have been left behind and where they currently sit. So although we've pushed up higher, we can see that there's a major area of resistance right up here at that $31,000 to $32,500. You can see it right in there. There's also a couple of gaps that were left behind previously on the way down. And again, we'll look to maybe possibly even fill those out. This is ultimately where the resistance sits. You can kind of see that all up here. I don't imagine that we're going to push past some of these numbers, but it'll be interesting to kind of see how that does change over the course of time. But ultimately for now, everything on Bitcoin looks pretty good. We have pushed up quite nicely. And yeah, for now, I still think there's a little bit further to the upside to be had here. But it is still all corrective under that three-wave structure that we've been talking about for a little while, the A, B, and C structure just in there. I'm going to leave this video right there, give my voice a bit of a rest, but if you have found this useful and informative, smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.
We are not financial advisors, and none of what we have communicated verbally or in writing here should be considered as financial advice. It is not. Do your own research before investing in any digital asset or affiliate offers, and understand that investing in any crypto is risky. If you do, you need to be prepared to risk your entire investment. This video is for information and entertainment purposes only. All our videos are strictly personal opinions. Please make sure you do your own research and never take our opinions for financial guidance. There are multiple strategies, and not all strategies fit all people. Our videos are not financial advice.